Hello, everybody. It's me, Frankie Celenza, live from the Tastemade studios in Los Angeles, California, where it is beautiful during the day, but a little bit chilly at night. And as an East Coaster, where it's in the 30s right now, I would like to see that warm temperature throughout the evening. That's what I'm looking for. I know we've got people on the Tastemade Maker platform tuned in. We've got people on YouTube and Facebook. And thank you guys all for tuning in. I've got two really fun recipes here. We're doing a fun project with Walmart. I think they've got really high quality ingredients at low prices, which is more important now than ever. We're just in a period where stuff's really expensive, and also the last couple years, not a lot of us have been able to get together during the holidays. So I hope you get to make that all up, spend maximum time with your family, and minimal dollars on the food that you're making. We are going to make a French onion pizza slash focaccia slash flatbread. If you're a baker and you've got some dough, you can caramelize some onions, put this on top, really tasty. I'm going to go with a pre-made dough that's like this because I like having this in my fridge because if I want a pizza on a whim, I don't have to defrost, I don't have to make dough, I don't have to let anything rise, I can just boom, go. All I got to do is preheat the oven, which is great. And we're going to make a holiday salad with this salad kit right here, market side. It's good, it's the Southwest style. It's got some nice strong roughage in here. We've got cruciferous cabbage and kale, and there's some carrots. And so it's really robust, and it'll hold up to the other ingredients that we're going to put in there. Blue cheese, candied pecans, candied cranberries, and then some fresh apple. Plus we'll make a nice dressing. Hi, Linda. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's cool. But chef means boss. Like if you think of the English word chief, which is the head of the tribe, chef is literally that word in French. And since I'm not in a restaurant, I can't actually be a chef. I'm a cook. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for watching. If any of you have any questions while we're going ahead through all of this, I'm here to answer. This is like an exercise class. So let's make it happen. Now, listen. Caramelizing onions or quickly sauteing them, it takes a really long time. You can kind of fudge it a little. I'll give you some tips. But we got to start with that first because, time does not bend unless you're a physicist. So I've got an onion here. Here's how we do it. It's called French onion soup because of the style that we're going to cut it. So we'll cut off the North Pole. We'll cut off the South Pole. We'll lay it on the pole. And then we'll go straight down through the pole. Now we got two half sizes here. And so I remember doing a big event once, and this guy said to me, hey, will you French the onions? And that was the first time I'd heard this. And what that means is julienning the onions, which is thin slices like this. But it had to be that someone couldn't say the word julienne, which I'm still not saying correctly, so they just went with Frenched, to save face. So French onion soup because of the style that the onion is cut. The French don't call it French onion soup. They don't call them French fries. So it's this style of slicing the onion. So you get these thin pieces like this, julienne, and we want to try to get them as thin as we can so that there's maximal surface area, so the distance to center is smallest, so that water on the inside gets out real quick, and we get to the essence of the onion, the natural sugars, and really start to reduce it down. So I got a hot pan here, and remember, guys, I'm down for your questions if you got anything at all. I'm answering all the questions. I don't do star signs or any of that stuff. I still don't understand it. But I can answer most other questions. No knives. I'll use the back of a spoon here. Coming in with some butter. High fat, very important. And we can keep adding the fat. We'll eyeball this as we go. Someone asks where I'm from on the East Coast. I grew up in New York City. Spent 28 years between Manhattan and Brooklyn. And just moved a little outside of the city. Try to get away from it all for a second. How did I learn knife skills? Any tips on brushing up? Yeah, you got to watch some videos and see the correct way to do it and then do that even though it feels super unnatural. I remember when I had the knife hand down but not the holding hand, and that's a big mistake. And then I've got the scars to prove it. But as odd as it sounds, it's more important to have the non-dominant hand. You really want to have the knuckles back, and the knife is sort of always touching the knuckle, so you can and have it perpendicular to the board as best you can, unless you're Frenching the onions, in which case you have to come to the center. So what I said is not applicable anymore. But if you watch right here, you can see my knuckle is guiding the knife, And then when I come to like this fulcrum here, I'll flatten it down so that the onion isn't falling towards my hand. And you can kind of look away sometimes because you're feeling it. Gets a little sketchy when you start getting towards the end. So that's when you gotta not do it. So onions in. I'm really gonna crank this up here. Why am I not crying now? Oh, it's starting. Don't you worry. And I got like at least 7 more onions to go. No, I'm just kidding. That's way too many onions. Or is it? We'll never know. So let's just blast through this real quick. You know, they say all kinds of things with the onions. You can freeze the onion. You can put a candle next to you. You can do a fan. You can run the knife under cool water after every slice, which, frankly, you know what? None of it works. None of it works. You know, whatever gas is coming out of the onion right now is literally the self-defense mechanism of this noble allium to prevent me from picking it. Right? It's like a skunk's perfume. Woo! But I'll keep cutting you. You can't really avoid the fumes, man. The onion's there. I mean, maybe really great ventilation would probably do it best. And also just being as quick as you possibly can. You know, just get it over with. It's like the cold swimming pool. Just jump in. Don't, like, wade in. That's worse. All right, so we're Frenching the onions right now. If you've just tuned in, it's sort of the American way of saying that we're julienning the onions. And right now, the onion is winning the war against my eyeballs. Happy birthday, Sophie's mom. I wish you another fun year around the sun. We really are on a spaceship. It's pretty wild. And I'm not crying up because I understand how the solar system works. I'm crying because this onion's killing me. I think we're going to go with a little more butter right now. 2 might be enough. We'll see. It just might be. It just might be. Anyway, I was saying, if you're just tuning in, we're going to try to make a French onion pizza. So we're trying to get all the flavors in the onion soup that we love so much by really quickly cooking these finely sliced onions and getting some classic flavors in there. Kim, your daughter Morgan, says happy birthday, and so do I. I hope you're sauteing some onions right now, because there is no greater aroma in one's kitchen than that of the onion. I want to get as much fat as we can, really like a lot in here without getting too greasy. You know, if you think about the pan, it's just a surface. If nothing's in contact with the surface, then it isn't cooking. And when you put fat in there, it creates a liquid layer, which means more of the onion starts touching it. Then as everything sort of cumulatively rises in temperature, you sort of get this steaming and sauteing effect at the same time, which is cool. How do I personally sharpen my knives? I use a honing steel, you know, pretty frequently. Like, you're supposed to use them every time you pull them out of the drawer. But the other day, just before I left to come out here, I tried to cut through an eggplant, and I couldn't get through the skin, and I was like, it's time. Time for what? Time for the whetstone. You know, I've done the pull-through stuff. It's just a little bit too aggressive. If you really want your knife to last a long time, the whetstone is gentler and better, because every time you sharpen the knife, you're taking material off, right? It's like brake pads on a car. It's going to wear out. I would say, though, knife-wise, like, it's pretty important to me to have a knife that doesn't have one of these safety bolsters here, because when they do, it really prevents you from sharpening that last bit of blade down by the heel. And eventually you get this divot down here, and then that divot isn't in contact with the board, and now the sweet spot of your knife is useless. So that's like not super duper. All right, we got, I'm on full blast, and man, there's a lot of onions. It's an enormous sum of onions. So we've got butter, we've got onions. French onion soup is an intense beef bone broth, which is all the rage in Los Angeles right now. But the French have been doing it for a long time. We can get that flavor distilled down in the form of a beef bouillon cube. This is high salt, extreme flavor, and beef essence. So nice. If you're vegetarian, they make great veggie ones too. Obviously, you can skip it and just use salt, but if you want to taste like French onion soup, you got to get some kind of bone broth flavor in there. If you make your own beef broth, you can put a little, but you're going to have to really reduce that stuff down. So if you've already got like a demi of it, maybe in an ice cube tray because you're super hip, then yeah, you could do that. But that's too much work for me. I don't do that. Coming in with some thyme. So we've got the Great value thyme leaves right here. And thyme in French cooking is just, it's classic. It's a nice woody herb. It gives a gorgeous aroma. Great for this time of year. I'm breaking up this bouillon cube. What are some other fun fusions of French onion soup that you can think of? I mean, I like onions on everything. So, well, this isn't French onion soup. It's like the essence of the French onion soup flavor on a bread. So what else could we do with it? Like, you know, if I made way too many onions right now, like I might potentially be doing in this second, then could I use it to fill an omelet? Yeah, for sure. Could this be a filler for a mac and cheese? Yeah. Could this become a stuffing at Thanksgiving, a really great base for it? Yeah, it's all those flavors for sure. Those are fun things. White onions and yellow onions just have slightly different flavors. Someone asks. Yellow's a little more intense. Red onion's a little sweeter. Subtle differences. They're cousins, but they're first cousins. So we've got this happening here. And while that reduces down, so I've got 2½ onions in there. I'm gonna save this one for another time because my pan's full. Yeah, and I don't really measure stuff while I'm cooking. I'm very much into improvisation, both when I pick up a guitar and also when I'm playing the frying pan. You develop feel over time. I've made a lot of mistakes in the kitchen. I've made some horrible dishes, and that leads, you know, one to making better dishes. That's just how that works. Yeah, how long does it take for these onions to get to their peak in the cooking process, you mean? It can take a while. You can already see it started to reduce down. And the fact that we see vapors coming off of it, I mean, that is literally weight and size leaving the onion. So that's awesome. And it's starting to get much softer, which I'm very pleased about. You'll notice I didn't put any salt in here because we had that bouillon cube, and that is going to be the salt for the dish. So this is coming along nicely. I'm going to take my eye off that for a second. Why don't we move on to our cheese? We've got two kinds of cheese here, both from great value. One is a Swiss cheese, which is one of my favorite cheeses, but also it's an affordable alternative to a Gruyere, which would be in a French onion soup. Very similar flavor. So we're going to grate some of that. I guess we'll just, I think we should grate a lot of it. I mean, cheese and onion is delicious. It's going to be dependent on the size of the pan you have, how long these onions take, right? If you have ½ layer of onions in a pan that's 16 inches across and your burner is a high BTU burner, it's going to happen a lot faster than me, where I've got 1.5 inches of height in a pretty thick cast iron pan that's, you know, it's working. Maggie M asks, what other French dishes I like that may not be as well known? I just had a really delicious beef bourguignon, which is just like a fancy name for a beef stew. But I was never so happy to eat a beef stew in my life. Like, growing up, my mom would make her Southern Italian version of a beef stew, and Mom, I love you so much. Your beef stew is great, but beef bourguignon is really great. It's really great. So that one's really good, and I'm really into the French bistro food right now, you know. Chicken frites, steak, basically anything with potatoes fried. So we've got some Swiss cheese right here, and that's going to be like the essence of our cheesy flavor. I've also got a block of mozzarella here. You could go all Swiss. The thing that's great about mozz is that it's a pretty mild flavor. So if you want to stretch a cheese, mozz is a great one to put in there because, you know, it's very melty. Can't get this open. It's very, very melty, and it's going to stretch out that other cheese without altering the flavor too much. How many boxes of cheese do you think I could grate before running out of steam? It's more like how many onions can I cut before I throw my hands up in the air like I just don't care. I can grate a lot of cheese, but I'm a big fan of buying cheese in the block form. It's more affordable. Whoa! Total chaos. It's more affordable. I can now wrap this up and save it, right? And it's going to have more melting properties than a pre-grated cheese. And I can also clean up in aisle 3 over here. So we've got some mozz. Mamma mia. Hey, man, you know what? It's impossible to stay totally clean in the kitchen. And as far as kitchen messes go, box grater mess, not so bad. Not so bad at all. Does anyone have any questions about cleaning dishes or anything like that? Because I actually really enjoy doing the dishes. I feel like it's part of the process. Let's take a look at our onions here. I can see some brown happening. Coming in with my spoon. Been a little twist. The aroma's pretty great there. Pretty great indeed. If you've, I don't know why this is, but if you've got a really thin pan, you could be making this in any pan, but if you've got a really thin pan, it probably has some heat hot spots, and you might be seeing a lot more browning just in certain areas than I am. You probably have to stir a little more than if you were using a cast iron pan, but if you see all the onions turning too brown to the point where you're going, sweetness might be turning into acridity, aka bitterness, at that point, I'd add a little bit of water, lower the pan temp, kind of like start over, but keep letting it saute in the pan. So that's a move right there. I've got a quarter sheet tray here. It's funny, those restaurant sheet trays that we put in our oven are actually half sheet trays. You can't fit a full sheet tray in a home oven. So this is a quarter, even though it's half the size of the one that we think is a full, even though it's a half. Ay, ay, ay. So I've got some pizza dough here. What's my favorite, most useful kitchen utensil? It's got to be the chef's knife, because it's so useful. It's just so useful, and it can, I mean, it's the most important knife in the whole arsenal. Hey, Zachary M., what up? If that's the same Zachary M. that's been in some of my other live classes, what's up? How is it possible to keep cutting boards white? You mean like a plastic white one? If it's a plastic white cutting board and you want to keep it white, you probably need to cook really lightly colored ingredients on it. You know? Cut lightly colored ingredients. I might have said cook. But I'm dyslexic, so I mess up words all the time. So I've got some dough here. I'm going to let it roll this out here. Try to really square it off in the pan. Like so. It will rise up a little bit, so I don't have to be too fussy. Like, I think a white cutting board, Zach, would be awesome for, like, make that your poultry cutting board, maybe. You know? And just so you know, you keep things segregated. Raw meats on the white cutting board. Maybe you got a blue cutting board. You can do fish on that or something. That's a way to deal with it. So, onions are looking pretty good here. So if it starts getting to a point where it's browning faster than reducing in size, then that's where you want to hit it with a little bit of liquid. But also, we don't have to get this to a perfect caramelized state right here on the stovetop, because this is going to cook in the oven for about 15 minutes. So keep in mind, it's going to have gorgeous and even heat in the oven. So I'm looking here at my, here I can show you. I'm looking at my pan. And you can see that, like, it's good. We don't have any souks forming on the bottom of the pan, but it's just barely wet. So to me, that says let's add some more fat, right? I want to make this a little bit juicier. Got some butter here. We'll just come in with a little more butter, and I like adding the fat in different stages in the cooking process. You know, the early butter that was in here is going to start to brown a little bit as the milk solids caramelize, and that'll have different flavor than this butter that I just put in there, which is 10 minutes later in the cooking process. I like that, you know, layers of flavor. It's like that cold cheese thing we were talking about before. Were we talking about cold cheese before, or was that in the... Have you ever gone to a pizzeria and you get an ingredient called cold cheese? So they send you home with the pizza, and then they give you a soda cup filled with shredded cheese. So we're going to do that here. It's really interesting because you get textural variants of the same cheese and also like a flavor differentiation too. So here we've got the mix of the Swiss and the Mott's right here, and that's going to melt and be all stringy. It's going to be fantastic. But then at the end, we'll put the cold cheese on it. Same cheese, same flavor, different state of solidity, slightly different flavor. And I like that because it's complexity. It's layers, literally layers of cheese and layers of different flavors of the same cheese. I didn't spray the parchment, but when in doubt, grease it up, for sure. I find in general that breads cauterize on the bottom. Yeah. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. Let's Give this a little toss. I'm definitely smelling, yeah. So you see that? So that's a really good state. I'm very pleased with that. And I was on full blast the whole time, and this is a great, man, this is a heavy pan, holy moly. By the way, if you're looking for a way to really get your arms in shape, cooking with a cast iron pan is definitely one of those ways. So we have an enormous amount of onions on here, which is exactly what I want, because when I get a French onion soup, the onion should be the star. So if I'm making a French onion pizza, then the onion should be the star. So don't skimp out on the onions. That's my personal opinion, and I stand by it, but also it's the correct opinion. It really is. We're going to hit it with a little more cheese, but we're going to save some to put on the end. Okay, so here we go. A little mozz, a little bit of Swiss, okay, and into the oven, all right? So we're at 22 minutes in our stream right now. I will check on this at like 37-ish, and hopefully it's done. Before we move on to the salad, I just want to grab the rest of my cheese and put it on a cute little plate so that we have a nice, clean cutting board. I worked at a restaurant in New York City, an Italian restaurant. Yeah, and I mean, every chef says this, but a clean workstation is a clean mind. So you can pick up your cutting board. You can just kind of knock those little bits right into the garbage. And now we get to start afresh on the next product, which is our market side chopped salad. Probably, I mean, have you ever purchased broccoli before and then you have to cut it up and those little flowerets of the broccoli get everywhere and it's like a big mess? I started buying frozen broccoli just to avoid that. I feel the same way about salad. It's kind of like a pain in the neck to buy these heads of salad, especially if you want variety of different types of lettuce. You got to buy like all these big heads. If you don't use them all up, they wilt pretty quickly, and then you got to clean them all, and you got to cut them all, and it's like a big mess before you even start. So I'm a big fan of a pre-cut, pre-blended salad. So this is a great one to start holiday style. Oh, we got some dressing here. Look at that. And tortilla chips. How fun. Some coming in a bowl. So we've got a little bit of kale. We've got some purple cabbage. I see some white cabbage. We've got carrots. And, you know, as I hold this in my hand, I can really feel it's robust. And that's important to me because I want to make a really fun salad that's got some interesting ingredients. So, and those ingredients are going to be chewy. So if we had something like a butter lettuce, it would be probably not so great because then our candied cranberries, for example, or sweetened dried cranberries would totally overpower, and you'd be like, is there even lettuce in this? So that's why you need to have, you know, a more robust salad if you're going to make it really fun like this. So Market Side's got a combo right here, sweetened cranberries and candied pecans. I think it's a great place to start. You could use walnuts, you could use cashews, roasted. They got the honey ones. I like them a lot. And really just, honestly, this is the perfect amount for one salad, so let's just use the whole thing. As far as dried fruit goes, I mean, I like the sweetened dried cranberries. I've had them not sweetened. It's a big disappointment. Definitely get the sweetened ones. They're much, much better. Currants are good. Raisins are great. Dried mangoes are really tasty by themselves. I don't think they would work so well in this salad. Maybe stay away from that one. But I do want you to feel like you can improv and use the ingredients you have around the house. So, again, if this were butter lettuce, you see this? I've got these pecans. I've got these cranberries. Like, no, I need a lettuce that's going to stay up to it. Cool? Cool. Great. We got some blue cheese here. Let's get that in there also. Do I recommend a ceramic or metal or plastic knife to cut lettuce for less oxidation? So, I remember being in Italy a long time ago, and someone cut the basil with a knife and showed me that it turns black because it oxidizes from the metal blade, and so that's why they always hand tear their basil. But I've never seen lettuce oxidize to the point where the edges get black. But also, oxidation is a sign that it was sliced a long time ago. And so now we talk about like the expiration of food. Which brings me full circle back to this lettuce. Because everything is so robust, we can dress this and leave it for a pretty long time, and that dressing is not going to break it down to the point where it is expired. So that's another fun thing about a salad like this, because literally we can make it and spend time with the family and not worry about the salad's already dressed. We got to eat it in the next 5 minutes, otherwise it's going to be like soggy and mushy. Nope, not this one. Not this one at all. So I love a blue cheese. Very salty, very funky. This is literally the salt for our dish, so I'm taking little bits with my fork and I'm just crumbling it with my hands. I always like to get a block of it if I can. I just find in general it holds more moisture and it's a little more exciting to eat than a pre-crumbled one. But, you know, whatever you can find will work. And if you're not a fan of blue cheese, that's fine also. How long would it take to make this pizza in a high-powered pizza oven? So a high-powered pizza oven is pretty much anything that goes over 550 degrees, 550 being the max for most of us, you know, with a home oven. But it's a really apples and oranges question you're asking there because, like, you know, all doughs are going to rise differently. I think the dough we're using right now is kind of a low hydration. It's pretty happy to go low and slow. I don't think high would be better. I think it would be very topical. I think it would burn before the inside's cooked. So you got to have the right kind of dough for the right kind of temperature. And there's no better or worse. It's just different. You know what I mean? I've been making this dough all summer that works really great in an 800-degree oven. It's terrible at 500, and it does not work at 900. So, you know, it's like, what's the best size shoe? It's like, well, what size foot do you have? That would be my analogy for that right there. So we're cool here. Maggie wants to know what my favorite pan is and how I got into cooking, and that's very nice, Maggie. I had a teacher named Maggie M. Yeah, Maggie McGee. If that's Maggie McGee, hi. I'm so sorry I did so poorly in your science class for so many years, but I love science now. How did I get into cooking? Man, you know, I grew up with food in my family. My mom was a great cook. All four grandparents were great cooks. Everybody, first-generation American on that side from Italy. And so everybody kind of just has repertoire and recipes and everything. We're going to cut the apple while we talk about this story. This is going to give us tartness and freshness to balance out all the intensity of this cheese and these nuts and everything. So I'm literally going to go straight down on the core. Straight down on the core. And then I got to figure out how I want to cut these. Is it cubes? Is it slices? Is it sort of batons? I think we'll go with the French thing. So we'll come through this way. So I was cooking, you know, I had a couple dishes up my sleeve in high school and everything like that. I sort of became obsessed with grinding my own meats and making all the kinds of hamburgers and making frazzled onions and everything, which is still the greatest topping known to man on any hamburger. And then when I went to university, I had all these pasta dishes, and people came over, and I undercut the school meal plan by $1. And the kitchen faced out like this, so I'd be cooking a dish like amatriciana and saying, hey, that restaurant over on Bleecker Street, they make amatriciana with Parmesan cheese. And you know what? That is wrong, because it's got to be pecorino cheese from a sheep, because the town that this pasta's named after is a town of sheep herders. And that's the only cheese they would ever use. And so they really liked hearing my history and myths and background of all these different dishes. And like when the seventh person said, you should film this, I was like, I should film this. And there was this new website called YouTube, and it was like late 2008. And I was a very young 22-year-old boy, and I said, gee, there's no young people cooking on this YouTube thing. Maybe I should start doing this. So that's what happened. I started doing that. And then sort of backwards worked my way into culinary school and restaurants and everything, sort of after the fact. It's very backwards, but that's what happened. And now here we are, and I love it. And I've cooked for a lot of really, really cool people all over the world, and every time I go to a new restaurant or meet a friend from a new culture, I mean, I dive into the food. I think it's really just the ultimate tool to understand another culture, to understand that we're all human, and it's fantastic. And it's so exciting. You can eat history and ideas and culinary techniques and ingredients, and it's fun. It's fun to work with the hands. And it's very satisfying. And now as I get into my twilight years, now I hope I have a long way to go, I really do. But now as I do that, I realize that what I'm looking for in life is just self-satisfaction. And whenever I cook a dish and it's good, I feel satisfied, and it's like, you know, a little check mark on the day. I think that's a beautiful thing. So we've got our salad, we've got our cranberries, we've got our nuts, we've got our blue cheese, we've got our apples. Let me show you how to make a salad dressing real quick. Best way to do that, in my opinion, is with a mason jar, okay? This way we can make more dressing than we need, and we can save it. But also it's going to help us shake it up real good. Because as you know, olive oil and water Vinegar is basically a water. They don't like to mix. They do not like to mix at all. And so we got to figure out a way to make them mix. How are we going to do that? Right? I'm fielding out the questions. Anyone got kids in science class? Watch what happens when we pour the vinegar in here. Got some great value balsamic right here. It's going to be tangy and dark and incredibly acidic, which I love because it balances out so beautifully with extra virgin olive oil. And this one's from California, which honestly I think is making great olive oil. They really are. California's doing a great job. So check it out. You can see that fat is lighter than acid, or water in this case. So all the vinegar's falling to the bottom, the fat's floating to the top. And if I try to mix this up, it'll mix and then it'll fall apart. So we need something called an emulsifier. And we have two emulsifiers that also add delicious flavor to whatever salad dressing we're making. And one is a Dijon mustard, and the other one is a honey. You can put some Dijon in there, get some flavor, shake this up. The whole thing is going to emulsify. It's going to stay together, and you get flavor. You could do it with honey. It's going to work a little less well, but it's going to give you flavor. It'll definitely hold that nice mouthfeel, gorgeous viscosity for the time it takes to eat the salad. Or you could do both if you want to be a crazy person. I want to be a crazy person. So let's get some Dijon mustard in there, continuing with our French theme. And I would say we got like 3 parts olive oil to 1 part vinegar. And maybe that was like just under a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, which has great flavor. I'm open to taking any questions if you guys want. We'll add a little sweetness with the honey. And maybe just a pinch of salt in here. But we do not have to go heavy on the salt because we got a lot of salt in the blue cheese. So we just got to keep that in mind. So a little salt in there. Coming back on with the top. Make sure the top's on tight, friends, because this is where things could go awry. Not quite as bad as turning on the blender with the top not fully secured, but still, you know. Sort of like making a cocktail with carbonated beverage and then shaking it up. It explodes. Don't let that happen. So we've got our emulsifier, so we just shake it up, okay? And so you've got a blueprint for making a salad dressing right now, which is just 3 parts fat, 1 part acid. Could be lemon, could be lime, could be balsamic vinegar, sherry, red wine, white wine, vinegars. Could be rice wine vinegar. And then you just want some kind of an emulsifier. Dijon's a really good one. Honey's great. Mayo works pretty well, weirdly. Egg yolk, Caesar salad. So check that out. That's gorgeous. And if I stick a spoon into this and show you what it looks like, I think you will be impressed. So we take the back of the spoon, look at that. And if I run my finger through it, really nice, wow. That olive oil is, it's got like natural pepper, just hit me in the back of the throat, you heard that? Really smooth mouthfeel all around. It's amazing what like a simple great salad dressing can do. And then you got that balsamic vinegar and the mustard. They're playing this really fun game. I think we can hit it with a little more mustard actually. So I'm gonna give it. Always good to taste your food. That's the #1 thing, you know. And people ask me like, well, what am I tasting for? And the answer is, you'll figure it out once you start tasting. For sure. Okay, we got some great salad dressing right there. I'm going to take a peek on my pizza. How long does this dressing keep in the fridge? I think it'll keep a pretty long time. I think you could do at least a week. I really do. You know? Olive oil, well, here's what's going to happen when you put it in the fridge, though. It is going to become semi-solidified. So you're going to, if you want to use it, you're going to have to take it out and just like butter, let it come up to room temp, right? You can't butter a piece of bread with butter straight from the fridge, which is probably the saddest thing in the culinary world because sometimes I really want that butter on the bread and the butter is so hard and then I start doing it and then I make a hole in the toast and it's the same thing with the salad dressing. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. I think our pizza's looking pretty good, I gotta say. Do I have a time check on that? When did I put it in at 20, right? Did I put it in at 20? Am I at 15? 2 more minutes? 2 more minutes? You guys got any questions for me? We got 2 more minutes. You could dress the salad in the meantime, perhaps. Can you use other mustards in the dressing? Of course. Absolutely. Yellow mustard works. Even the grainy mustards work, but because it's got, you know, the chunks of mustard seed, That prevents a little bit of the emulsification we're looking for in the creaminess of the mouthfeel, but it's not the end of the world, especially if you add a honey to it or a maple syrup to sort of like pick up the slack. How do you pick a good balsamic? I mean, the answer is to taste it. Balsamic is, you know, it really only comes from one very small region of Italy, and now balsamic's become a style of darkened vinegar that everybody loves, but most balsamic vinegar is not from balsamic, just like Parmesan cheese has to come from Parma, but then we have American Parmesan versions of cheese. So just taste it. If you like it, that's how you pick it. Yeah, for sure. That's what I would say on that. Let me show you how to dress this real quick. You just take this, and if you poured it right on top, it's really going to weigh it down, right? You can never underdress the salad, but if you overdress it, it's a problem. So what I like to do is come around the edge of the salad bowl very lightly, so I have an opportunity to sort of coat the leaves and not weigh them down. So something like that. And we'll start off really light. And what should I use to mix this? Coming live to you from Tastemade Studios in LA, everybody. We're on the set of Struggle Meals. We've been shooting this show for about 5 years. This is not that show, but we've been shooting it for 5 years, and it's all about affordable food that's high quality. And Walmart's doing the same thing. And I think it's a great way to save money this holiday season and time. This is, you know, because, again, I think we want to be with our loved ones now more than ever. It's been a bunch of crazy years. Now prices are through the roof. I say high quality, convenience, low prices. That's the way to go with everything that you're doing so that you can spend maximal time with everybody. So, really happy to be doing this with Walmart right now. Check out our salad. It's looking nicely dressed, I have to say. If I stick a spoon in there just to see what's up, and when I say spoon, I mean fork, just to see what's up with the amount of dressing. Balsamic vinegar down the wrong pipe. Very good. The onion strikes again. All right, so check it out. Our pizza, I can lose this cutting board. Let's clean up that station real quick. Pizza's coming out. I don't know if anybody was cooking along with me. I hope you were. I hope your timer's going off. Mine is. Let's make it happen. Get a little rag here so we don't burn this fine mahogany countertop. And get a little rag here. Fun fact, if there is any moisture at all on a rag and you use it to grab a hot pan, that moisture will make the heat go directly through to your hand. So make sure it's dry. Ooh, baby. It's looking pretty dope. Oh, I forgot to cut my chives. Well, here's a fun little hack for cutting your chives if you forgot to cut your chives and you've already put away your cutting board. But first, let's get this cheese on here. So a little bit of cold cheese. We were talking about that. And, oh, it smells great. Rich aromas of deep, dark forest woody herbs, i.e. thyme, and then all the sweetness, natural sugars of onion, which is just one of the best smells ever. I wanted to show you how to cut onions on a cutting board. I suppose I could do that. Maybe we should just do that. Well, here's the hack if you're not into it, because it's, you just take your chives, grab a pair of scissors, okay? And then you don't have to worry about getting all chefy. You can just make like centimeter pieces, which is like, I don't know, 1/5 of an inch, 1/4 inch or something like that. And just put that on there. And this is just the most delicate of the cousins in the allium family, the chive. And I'm a big fan of it. It's going to give us a nice little bright relief from all these deep, dark, highly naturally sugarized flavors, and I think that's what you want to do right there. So that's all she wrote, folks. We've got our holiday salad right here. We've got our pizza. Let's go over it real quick. Holiday salad, market side pre-mixed salad, meaning we don't have to cut, we don't have to wash, and we get a variety of robust lettuces that are going to hold up to our awesome homemade dressing that we made with just 4 ingredients, but it only needs to be 3: fat, acid, emulsifier. We've got some candied cranberries in there, but it could be raisins or currants. We've got some nuts. I'm using pecans because it came in a nice duo pack from Market Side, but it could be honey roasted cashews, it could be pistachios, it could be walnuts. They could be raw, they could be cooked, they could be candied. It's up to you. Choose your own venture. The important thing here is that you got something that gives you a little bit of relief. I used some green apple, nice and tart, crisp, beautiful between the teeth. I love the texture. Textures are so important in cooking for me. And then we've got our French onion flatbread pizza here. Really, really cool. Cooked a whole bunch of onions over high heat with a bunch of butter in the pan. This is a recipe for success any way you put it. Butter, onions. Hit it with a little beef bouillon. If you're a veggie person, they make veggie bouillon. I'm just trying to figure out a way to get salt and extra flavor into the dish, which is why I think bouillon's the way to go, because, you know, we're trying to mimic a French onion soup, and that's got the flavor of broth, which we don't have. So we got to get that flavor in there. And then we hit it with some Market Side thyme, which is just such a classic French herb, and it really just like awakens the onions. Use 2 kinds of cheeses, the Swiss to get that flavor of the soup that we know and love. We stretched it out with some Mott's, which is a great, mild, stringy, stretchy cheese. It's great like as support to any other cheese. And that's where we're at. I'm going to cut a piece of this pizza now, take a slice of it. What do we got here? Am I serving it up on this? No, not serving it up on this? On the plate? What would you do with the salad dressing in your bag? Would it be a good addition to your struggle meals sauce drawer? No, I can't put this. Oh, salad dressing. Oh yeah, we got the salad dressing. I thought you meant the salad itself. You can't put salad in the drawer. But I got really nice ingredients here. I've got a dressing, and I've got some tortilla chips, and they're all wrapped up, and they do not need to be refrigerated, and I can go right into my packet drawer, and that means free flavor for later, and that would be fun on an egg. What's down low? Oh, cool. Yeah, great. Let's taste it. So what should I use? Should I use a scissor here? Do I have a scissor? Cut a piece of pizza with a scissor? Where did my scissor go? Everything's missing now. Here it is. So I'll grab a little corner of the pizza. Ah! It's entirely too hot for me to grab it. Totally chaotic. Let's cut a piece of pizza. Oh, you can see the stringy cheese. Very nice. Rip-roaring pan. I know. Metal on metal, but it's all right. Don't worry about it. Get a little bit of cheese right here. Get some pizza. Got to come under. It's so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot. Very stringy cheese. I'm very into this. I don't know why I'm whispering. I think it's just because I'm so excited to be in the presence of such a deity of pizza. But seriously, I'm going to burn the top of my mouth, and everything is going to be ruined right now. No taste buds for Thursday. That would be so bad. Here we go. We did it! Oh. It is so hot. But, guys, we really nailed it with the cheese here. Oh, my goodness. It is giving me total French onion top of the soup vibes, right? Because the pizza dough itself is like that piece of bread that floats in the soup. Yum, yum, yum. Mmm. Really good. The dough is so moist and fantastic. It's a really nice blank slate to make this really fun pizza. I think you guys will have fun with this at home. Let's just take a quick bite of our salad over here. I want to get a little thing. Got some apple. We got some, a little bit of cheese. Mmm. I mean, crunchy, bright, acidic. I love that candied cranberry in there. The blue cheese really rounds it all out really nicely. And the robust lettuce is holding up to all these really hearty ingredients. So super fun for the holiday time. I think this is a really interesting combination. Very easy to make at home. I hope you guys make it. Remember, spend a lot of time with the people that you love. Okay? cook, do some fun stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect. And food's more expensive than it's ever been right now. Walmart's giving you high-quality ingredients at very low prices. And they make a lot of stuff that's prepped out, which can save you time, which means more time with the people that you should be hanging out with. And time's something we all need a little bit more of, in my opinion. So, Frankie Celenza from Tastemade in Los Angeles studios, signing out, wishing you very happy holidays, all of the holidays in the weeks ahead. Stay healthy, stay happy, be good, really. I want you to be. Thanks for cooking with me, guys. It was a lot of fun. It really was. I'm going to eat another slice of this. Man, oh man.